Welcome to our presentation on desert gardens. Throughout this video, we will explain what desert gardens are, what plants they consist of, and cultural connections to desert gardens. A desert garden is a style of garden that utilizes the resources available without constantly demanding more. Drought-tolerant plants, such as cacti and succulents, are typically found in these types of gardens. In the desert, water is incredibly scarce. Not all deserts are the same, but the biota here all face the same struggles with drought tolerance, water availability, and usage. In a desert garden, the success of the garden is dependent on the variety of plants placed in the landscape and the types of plants that are native to this environment. In order to create a working desert garden, the garden should mimic local environments. Some aspects of a desert garden include spacious landscapes with sparse plantings. This is created by limiting the variety of plants without clustering them together. Since water is limited, it is important to take advantage of the rainfall, and permeable surfaces should be used in desert gardens to help trap water for plant uptake rather than wasting it in the form of runoff. Water features may also be incorporated in these types of gardens. Small fountains for pools with pumps are more realistic over still pools, since the rate of evaporation is high in desert conditions. The water feature should also be able to operate with minimal water, and water in still ponds evaporate more easily than running water.
Shade is also a big aspect of these gardens. Since the sun is so strong, the plants need shade for relief. Also, if people will be gathering in this garden, umbrellas or trees will be required to provide shade for gathering spaces. When designing a desert garden, some people use walls which could be connected to a building or freestanding. They can be made of cement or wood. Walls are used to help highlight some of the biota, such as different succulents, since they help to create contrast. Many plants from this environment are blue and green and can be contrasted with a warmer color, such as red and orange. Desert gardens are meant to be low-maintenance gardens. One way this can be accomplished is through the creation of an oasis, or a garden that is contained in an area surrounded by pavement. This helps to focus and contain the garden while also maintaining areas of open space. These gardens also provide year-round views, as opposed to only surviving a season or two before dying off and having to be replanted. Desert gardens also use less chemicals, have less pests, and are associated with less diseases than some of the other garden types.
When we think of deserts, we generally think of hot, dry areas like the Sahara Desert. Within the Sahara, there are multiple cultures such as the Berbers, Arabs, or Sunnis. Unfortunately, most of these kinds of ethnic groups do not actually have desert gardens since they are forced to live partial sedentary lives. Their lifestyles end up being either fully or partially nomadic, where they eternally search for resources and move to wherever permits the largest water sources or the most edible plants at that point in time. The desert will force these cultural values that delineate to the Native Americans. Within the Native American culture, living off the land is valued very highly rather than destroying or living directly off of it. Any of the edible plants there are not for the humans. They are sought after to feed the hardy herd animals such as goats that will then feed and provide food for the human population. This is similar to symbiosis, where the cultures will have to plan their lives around the vegetation in order to create a positive feedback loop where they eventually will be benefited. Since surviving purely off the vegetation directly isn't an option, they have to mirror the Native Americans, where their cooperation with the land creates indirect compensation in the form of either sustenance for the animals or some medical supplements for the people.
On the other hand of extremes, there are deserts that we always seem to forget, Arctic or polar deserts. Here in the Arctic, the plant life is almost imperceptible under the snow, but it plays an extremely important role for the culture there. Because mosses and lichen, algae, and fungi grow together are the dominant vegetation there, the people there have the option to live a completely sedentary lifestyle. Caribou, a significant source of food for the population there, can dig into the winter snow to reach the plants. Caribou, as well as many other polar animals, musk, oxen, Arctic hares, feed on the diminutive Arctic willow, a small shrub that grows close to the ground and spreads sideways. The willow enables gardening where people can assure they always have a food source to hunt nearby.
The plants found in desert gardens consist of succulents and cacti that are drought resistant and tolerate extreme temperatures and low humidity environments. Some examples of common desert plants include the ghost plant, burro's tail, zebra cactus, and the Queen Victoria agave. The ghost plant is one of the most popular succulents and is commonly seen in desert landscapes as well in home decor. These plants can range in color from blue-gray to pink-yellow. Leaves fall when new rosettes form in the ghost plant. If maintained properly, this plant also produces yellow flowers in the spring. The burro's tail plant is characterized by its long stem and teardrop leaves. This plant is commonly used to drape over long areas. This plant also grows best in partial sun,
So I
as the
believe these
leaves can
are
scorch in
newly
direct
planted,
sunlight.
so that's why they still have
The Queen Victoria
stakes on
agave
the
is another
ground.
common desert plant that is used in many modern landscapes. This plant is native to Mexico and is very drought tolerant. The Queen Victoria agave usually lives up to 15 years. It is characterized by its rosette shape that resembles an artichoke.